At the checkout line, an old man's black card was denied. Laughter erupted, mocking his struggle, as the cashier and a stranger ridiculed him. But when a black cleaner stepped forward, she did something no one expected, changing everything and revealing a shocking truth about who he really was. Before we dive in, let us know in the comments, what time is it and where are you watching from? Let's start. The supermarket was crowded that afternoon, carts rolling and scanners beeping, but for the old man at checkout, the noise around him seemed to blur into silence. He stood hunched over the counter, his shirt creased, his hands trembling, as he pulled out a single black card. His basket was filled with nothing more than essentials: bread, milk, a bag of apples, 2 cartons of eggs, and a packet of tea. Yet the way the cashier stared at him, one eyebrow raised, you'd think he was trying to buy gold. "Go ahead, sir," she said, her voice sharp, but carrying a laugh she didn't bother to hide. She slid the card into the machine, eyes flicking toward the man beside her, a customer in a navy suit who leaned casually on the counter, smirking. The screen blinked. Transaction denied. The old man's face twitched, but he said nothing. He cleared his throat softly and adjusted the card in his hand. "Try again," he muttered, his voice low, almost pleading. The cashier rolled her eyes. "Sir, it says declined." "Maybe the card's empty?" Her tone was coated in sarcasm, and the suited man beside her chuckled under his breath. "It's not empty," the old man said, his grip tightening on the card. His knuckles were pale, his voice carrying a mix of irritation and shame. "There's money on it." "Oh, I'm sure," the cashier replied, laughing openly now. She tilted the screen so the man in the suit could see the flashing red words, "Card declined." Both of them snickered like school children sharing a cruel joke. Behind them, a woman in a blue uniform with yellow gloves paused mid-step, her mop bucket rolling slightly as she stopped. She looked at the old man, her lips parting but no words escaping. She stayed quiet, watching. The old man tried again. He pressed the card into the machine, entered the PIN with shaky fingers. He stared at the keypad as though his concentration alone could force it through. Again, the machine beeped. Declined. The laughter grew sharper. The man in the suit leaned closer to the counter, speaking loudly enough for other customers in line to hear. Maybe he thought this was the charity line. Pay later, right? A few heads turned. The cashier didn't hold back her grin now. "Sir, if you can't pay, you should step aside. People behind you have real cards that work." The old man's lips pressed into a thin line. His chest rose and fell in shallow breaths. He bent his head, speaking with controlled anger. "This is my card." "It's valid. Try it again. 3rd time's the charm," the cashier mocked, snapping the card from his hand and swiping it. The machine rejected it once more. She slammed it back on the counter. Still nothing. "Maybe you should call your bank, if you have one." The old man's eyes burned, but not with tears. He refused to give them that satisfaction. His voice dropped hoarse, cracking at the edges. "Don't humiliate me. Just try again later. I can fix this." "Fix this?" The cashier's laugh cut him like a blade. "Sir, this isn't a garage. Either pay or step aside. We don't run tabs at a supermarket." The suited man leaned closer to the cashier, whispering but loud enough for the old man to catch. Why waste time? He's stalling, probably hoping someone else will cover his groceries. You know the type. The words stung deeper than any denial from the machine. The old man clenched the handle of his cart, looking at the simple food inside. He wasn't buying luxury, not alcohol, not chocolates, just food. Food that now seemed beyond his reach. He swallowed hard, forcing dignity into his voice. I worked for what I have. I don't need your charity. Just one more try. The cashier snorted, tapping her nails on the counter. You've had 3. Machines don't lie. Cards with no money don't magically refill. The old man felt heat rise in his face. Every second stretched painfully, every chuckle from the cashier and the suited man echoing in his ears. Behind him, someone in line sighed impatiently, adding pressure. He finally lowered his hand, the black card trembling between his fingers. Then I'll leave it, he whispered. Put the things back. That silence that followed was heavier than any sound. Even the cashier hesitated, the cruelty of her own laughter bouncing back at her for a second, but she quickly masked it with another smirk. Suit yourself. The suited man burst out laughing again, shaking his head as if the scene was some kind of entertainment. Imagine that. Can't even afford eggs. The old man turned slowly, gripping the cart handle tighter. His eyes were fixed on the floor, not on the faces mocking him. He pushed the cart back an inch, but his body was stiff, as if moving was a kind of defeat he couldn't bear. And then, only then, the cleaner in the blue uniform set her mop aside. Her gaze was steady now, her jaw tight. She lifted her glove to her lips, biting it nervously, before finally taking a step forward. The cashier's laughter faltered as the cleaner approached. The old man didn't even notice her yet, his focus buried in his shame. But the woman's voice, firm, low, steady, was about to cut through the air and change everything. The cleaner's footsteps echoed lightly against the linoleum floor as she walked toward the counter. The laughter died down. Even the suited man's grin faltered as he noticed her eyes, sharp, unwavering, and filled with something that wasn't pity, but conviction. Excuse me, she said firmly, setting her yellow gloves against the counter. You don't have to talk to him like that. The cashier's face tightened. Stay out of this. It's none of your concern. The old man lifted his head for the first time, blinking at the voice. His eyes met hers, tired gray against steady brown, and for a second the shame in his shoulders eased. It is my concern, the cleaner continued. Her voice rose, not angry, but cutting through the arrogance at the register. You're mocking a man over a card decline without even asking why. Machines fail. Banks block cards all the time for security. That doesn't mean he has nothing. The suited man scoffed. Banks don't block cards for groceries. She shot him a stare. You'd be surprised. The old man finally found his voice, hoarse and broken. She's right. It's happened before. They froze my account last week when I made a transfer from abroad, said it was suspicious activity. The cashier folded her arms, unconvinced. Then why didn't you fix it? I did, he answered, his jaw clenched. But banks move slow. They said it would take a few days. I thought it cleared. He held the black card up, his hand shaking. This isn't fake. It isn't empty. It's blocked because someone in an office thought I didn't belong spending what I earned. The cleaner looked at him, then at the food in the cart. She reached for her own small wallet, tucked into the waistband of her apron. Pulling out a handful of crumpled bills and coins, she placed them on the counter. I'll cover it, she said simply, whatever it costs. Ring it up. The cashier's mouth fell open. What? You? You clean aisles for minimum wage. You can't. I said ring it up. The cleaner snapped, her voice trembling but fierce. He's a man who came here for food, not luxury, and if you can laugh at him for struggling, then I'll prove you wrong by standing with him." For a long moment no one spoke. The old man's eyes glistened, though he blinked quickly to hide it. He whispered, "You don't need to." "I want to," she cut him off gently. Reluctantly, the cashier scanned the groceries. The total blinked on the screen. Far more than the wrinkled notes the cleaner laid down. She bit her lip, embarrassed, but defiant. Before the silence could deepen, the old man reached into his shirt pocket. Slowly, he pulled out another card, one no one had noticed before. A deep platinum design, gleaming under the fluorescent lights. He placed it on the counter. "Try this one." The cashier frowned but swiped it. Instantly, the machine beeped approval. Transaction complete. The cleaner blinked in shock. The old man exhaled heavily, finally meeting her eyes. "I wasn't lying. I have money. More than enough. That other card was blocked for suspicious activity. They always flag it when I move large sums between accounts. I didn't want to use this one. Not here. Not today." He tapped the platinum card with a weary sigh. "But you didn't laugh. You stood up when no one else did." The suited man's face paled as the realization sank in. Platinum wasn't for ordinary people. The cleaner's jaw slackened too, but she stayed silent. The cashier swallowed hard. "Sir, I didn't know—" "No." The old man cut her off, his voice suddenly strong. He straightened his shoulders, and for the first time the weight of his presence filled the space. "You didn't care to know. That's worse." The cleaner looked between them, still stunned. "You're not just ordinary, are you?" The old man gave a sad smile. "No, I'm not. I built companies, owned chains like this one. I stepped down years ago. I come here dressed like this because I want to see how people are treated when they look like they have nothing." Today, I got my answer. Gasps rippled through the line. The cashier's hand shook. The suited man stepped back as if burned, but the old man turned only to the cleaner. "You gave me dignity when no one else did. For that, I owe you more than you realize." He placed a business card on the counter, sliding it toward her, his name embossed in silver. She stared wide-eyed, realizing who he truly was. The crowd buzzed, whispers flying, but for the cleaner, the moment was silent. She had acted out of instinct, not knowing she was defending a billionaire in disguise. And now, her simple act had changed everything. Don't miss the full story. Watch now to see how one act of courage exposed the truth and silenced the laughter. Subscribe for more powerful, emotional stories that will leave you speechless.